Hey guys, welcome back with another video, and today we're gonna be watching the the we're going to be watching the Fortnite finals with the watching. Oh my gosh, we're gonna be watching it from this game mode. Not private though. I don't want to do it on private. We're gonna do it on public because there's some things to do there. If you guys did not know, you can do a lot of things there. It's actually pretty cool. So, yeah. Here we go. Okay, so we're in here. They should be live. Like, they should be playing it on this big
You
screen.
want my dick in your butt?
My gosh, it's so gay. But yeah, it's right here. It's live on live stream. Sorry for that, guys. That did not mean to happen. But yeah, it's right here. It's on live stream right here. I'm gonna just let you guys watch this because it's really fun. Oh, they must have been. They're not done yet, but they must have been already played. Yeah, yeah, like it's fun watching this because you can see how like you can get better at the game. But that kid, I'm sorry for what he said. That was not. Not. They shouldn't have said that, but it's okay.
Yeah, of course, high ground is such an important aspect of the game. It's such a prime location in the end game for the end because it just translates into victory royales more often than not. We've seen it so often in previous seasons and this season as well. And who better than Nako and Don to have a look at to give an example of
I'll just let it sit here. Oh wait, I'm gonna go up here because this is where I did last time. Here, guys, yeah, right here.
They got lobbied by the entire lobby. Every single person was spraying them.
Yeah, right here.
Three on Nako. They pick up three huge refreshes.
I'm just, bro, it keeps like.
Straight onto the other players, and this sets them up for success. Max materials, and they can then hammer themselves across that. Exactly. Those eliminations got them the shockwave hammer, and this is where they capitalize on that.
Guys, I'm just gonna be quiet for a while and listen. So, if I'm not talking, you know why.
And they've been able to get ahead of the zone, but also play back. It's kind of like a split kind of play style on the high ground where you can look from behind, get tags, and get those eliminations while your teammate goes up ahead and is able to conserve enough materials to get to the other side.
Well, listen, we've spoken a lot about traditional high ground all season, but what we haven't spoken about is augmented high ground, Minimano.
Augmented high ground, indeed. That's a great way to describe it. Look at this from Slover, right? He's in sort of the situation, and we expect to see some teams using this today, potentially. He's actually taking control of the skies of the whole lobby. Nobody's looking up. He's using the party time augment to make his way up into the skies. As I said, nobody's looking up. He's able to just save so many materials, and then when he sees the moment is right, he lands on high. Look, to be fair, this is going to be very difficult to do in Surge Week, especially from all the duos. They're going to be trying to get that high ground and get the VR from above. But if someone is able to do it, if someone wants to risk it for that biscuit, I would love to see it. This is sneaky. This is good. I like this because this just shows it is all about high ground, taking those risks, making those interesting plays to take it, because of course then Slove can save so many materials, hold high ground for the rest of the game.
Guys, by the way, game one, it says game one in a minute and 30 seconds. So we have a minute and 30 seconds until they play their next game. Just to tell you guys. Just telling you guys.
They're always ready, aren't they? They're always ready. Look at they're always ready.
Oh, boy. It's Surge Week. Where's the energy? Never. You're too
So clean, so beautiful.
It's normal. It's a normal day for 11 2K. You know what I'm saying? You know, we've been here. We've done this. We've not actually done this. Surgery's new. But we've done this.
Yeah. It's snowing in Canada, so I gotta keep it chilly, you know. Shout out back home.
Yeah, I mean, Mini Miner, you're at least a little bit more excited than these two.
I'm very excited, but these guys are cool as a cucumber at the moment, and I hope that our teams that are playing today will match that energy. Will they? We'll just have to wait and see.
I think so. You know, 40 big duos from EU moved up all the way to the grand finals, 40 more coming in. A chance for only 10 to move past today, 11. That's huge stakes.
Yeah, I think when you look at what has happened on some of the other regions when it comes to surgery, I think we can expect to see very similar, but the bigger names in this lobby are bound to surprise us, I think, in terms of the style of play. Are we going to see more hype plays? I think one thing that always happens in these kind of lobbies is everyone just assumes everyone's going to go for hype because that's how you win, and then nobody does it, right? You always see like everyone's playing each other out, so we'll see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes because it's party time as we head into game number 1.
So guys, that tells you how much you got. So here's the very first game of today.
EU on top usually today. I think the competition is going to be so electric.
Well, yeah, for sure, right? When you look at this lobby, I think so many surprises across the board. We have actual FNCS champions of previous seasons playing in surgery. That's not something you would have expected to see, but nevertheless, they're going to have to step up big.
Yeah, stories all mysterious as well. Some players like, you know, you just look at Hen and Anas, not showed up at all in any week. Now they're here seeing exactly what they can do. Should be very interesting to see exactly how they, you know, show up with a lot of their competitors already in the finals. There's so much room for power teams to take it home.
Hen, a champion before. Chapik's a champion before. Badil, the champion of the last FNCS season. How's he here in surgery, right? So many questions across the board. Which one of these players is going to step up? We all expect them to do well, but they haven't necessarily quite performed at their peak level this season. Can they do it today?
Absolutely, not even normal stakes. The first game starts right now, so let's jump into that battle, but see what EU has for us in store. All of this talk is all about how people play in normal lobbies. This is not a normal situation, 11. This is Surge Week. That win matters a whole lot more. The top 5 matters a whole lot more. Although some of our favorite players are here, they have very different stakes to play with.
Of course, right? We always want to see players playing for the win, but now more than ever, it means just that bit more. A win will secure you a spot in the FNCS final next weekend. And for these guys, Peña, they're going to be very happy they're not contested off spawn. Unfortunately for Pink and Nebs, they will have to deal with that today.
Yeah, and that's kind of like, you know, a little bit of a cold breakfast for them too today. They were not expecting to be contested overall from what I've seen for the past few hours. A team now just rolling in towards that south side of the map. Close to friends. This is going to be tough, but looks like a disengagement straight away.
Yeah, for my insider information here with Pink and Nebs, right, leading up to this weekend, there was a question mark of whether or not it would happen. After the Elite Cup we saw literally a couple days ago, there was that possibility in their minds that it would happen. Of course, here now, Wimfers is going to be contesting. The good thing I'd say is that from what I've seen when they have contested each other, Pink and Nebs do have slightly better jobs. It seems like obviously they're a bit more comfortable here, but we know what happens off sports, Shayo. Anything can happen in these games.
Absolutely, nerves at an all-time high for a bunch of players who might have their first chance at a stab at a Surge Week type format. Pink and Nebs, seasoned veterans at that circumstance. The big thing too from this duo that I've seen just week to week is that they struggle more so at executing games when they get towards end game. Getting to that point shouldn't be too much of a problem. Meanwhile, Kenty and Scoozy playing towards that north side. Snower zone. It's kind of icy down here, but let's turn up the heat a little bit in these fights. Big shots all around. T'Challa, Arc, no strangers to fights. They won another one throughout their entire Major 1 qualification format.
Yeah, that was scary for a second. I thought T'Challa was just going to get 2v1 out the game. Arc souped in the final moments, and they cleaned that one up rather nicely. For Pink and Nebs, they've already picked up one. I believe that was Conan they got. Let's take a look at the replay here. You see them isolating the 2v1 situation. He sort of didn't really have much to hold on to, and then it's about finding him in the corner. And so now Wimfers is going to have to try and either survive and just look to pick up his teammate a bit later. I'm sure Pink and Nebs would rather try and get him out of the game and, you know, encourage them to leave for the day.
Buy some room, that's all they're looking for. Mark on that left side. Now we get to a few more interesting spots on the map where things are just absolutely heated up. Electric, Slappy Shores, faulty as well. Overall, I feel like 17 teams are just landing here, somehow also just surviving. Not sure what's going on, but it's a lot of players.
Speaking of, 17 teams and a bunch of chaos, 40 splits. Today is going to be one of the messiest POIs we watch. If any of you guys were watching NA yesterday, it was a very similar situation over on that side of things. And today, I very much expect to see that happen here. Of course, for the Ziandi and Uruguay, they'll be hoping that they can come up on top of this find with just so many different parties, so many different entities here. It's never a guarantee.
Krusty also rolling in. Has had success of just holding down a spot towards that north side. The biggest issue I've seen with so many teams on this side of the map is just surge and timing. And you can practice for it for 3 weeks. It switches up in Surge Week. People are now playing for that VR. They're not rotating the same way. They're not just playing for the top 5. So even more of a mystery up in ice.
Yeah, I think the big thing, right, is obviously, can you stay ahead of the rest of the lobby in your pursuit to get to that next zone? Can you keep up with things? Obviously, before you got to deal with that, you got to win off spawn, and we're seeing one of those battles take place here for gold. He doesn't have his teammate with him anymore, and so he's going to be down. This is raw shotgun aim.
Now there's no escaping Anvil Square. This spot sturdy, heavy in every fight. You have to be locked in each and every single 2v1 if it comes down to it. Maximilian missing a few shots, but his dual partner is there. Astral will wrap it up. Just the first zone, and I see a lot of composure across the U.
Yeah, nice to see Maximilian there. I think I've seen many players who would just jump right into the box and maybe risk losing the fight for his team, but just stepping back for a moment, allowing his teammate to step through and close things out.
In my mind, I always thought when it was DKS and Bat Sniper together, they were collectively the problem in staying in these huge POIs that have so many people landing time and time again. Bat Sniper not here. DKS confirmed the problem at staying some of these super contested spots. It's a nice little narrative we have going on, but he loves the challenge. Whether it's the most clouded person on EU or just a few other teams rolling in, trying to get their shot towards the finals. Nebs in pink, now just escalating this fight, but do they have the time is the question, because it might just be harvest season for a bunch of these crops. Treating this player like one, though, it's absolutely taken away.
Yeah, and of course, it's nice that they finally cleaned up onto Winfer, but we were just talking about time there, Shayo. They don't have the zone. They're going to have to start moving towards the north end, albeit not a great amount, but, you know, when we're talking about these lobbies, you don't want to be behind, right? You don't want to be behind. You want to stay ahead. You want to be in the power positions, and they aren't going to have that luxury in this game now because of all this time spent.
You talk about control of height, good timing, right above them. Anas Hen rocking in. Questions as to where they're going to be landing as well. Sometimes I saw them all the way up at Brutal Bastion in a few drop maps now. It is confirmed they're towards that south side near Frenzy. This should be a curious way for them to attack. I would expect them to go to a much more powerful spot looking for a lot of loot, somewhere more central. A lot of questions off of this drop.
Yeah, I think the big thing with this team, right, is that, you know, there have been plenty of competitions where they've landed Frenzy, so they'll be very familiar with this spot. Of course, right, it is just about what are they doing as a duo that's not quite working, what's not quite clicking. This is a team, when you look at the names individually, you think, wow, big name players, but it hasn't quite been able to deliver that level of performance. Are things working out? They have to work today, right? You know, there isn't any more questions about it.
It's Hen and duos. It's an awesome duos. It just has to happen. 5 games and they don't make it, I will cry. I'll cry on stage. I'll do it.
We don't want that. Nobody wants to see that, I promise you that. But Dio and O'Reilly, a very similar story. I think many people expect this team to eventually win a game. Maybe not a consistency type of team. I don't think they ever have been when you look at their history.
But this used to be yin and yang. This used to be the staple in terms of duo synergy. I'm looking at a few of their performances just throughout the season, looking at the direction specifically of the duo. Who is really the one in the lead? What are the causes of problems? Regardless, the aggression, the confidence just not there as the same as before. Definite chance here. They do the best when they're going against the grain, right? That grain, in my opinion, being what we see on screen, 80 and hard find. In a format like this, playing a little bit more passive, going from zone to zone. Surge issues overall, as we looked at through in the weeks. Possibly have a chance to fix that now as the lobby does change a little bit in skill. They should be shooting for at least top 5 overall. I wouldn't really say a win.
Yeah, and I think the good thing about this team is that, you know, when we saw them throughout some of the weeks, they were struggling with being contested off spawn. They couldn't quite get into their rhythm. If they're not having to worry about that, yeah, they certainly could be a sneaky team to just get through on consistency, albeit as long as they have the right type of games. Of course, we spoke to Jackson before the competition started today. And beyond that, we know some of the things that have been going on over at Slappy Shores and how hectic of a POI it can be to fight at.
A little bit of recon as well from Jackson. Room still looking clean. See how he rocks in. Turtle. Also, they're biding their time at Slap. You have a little bit of ways to go. The zone pulling all the way towards the Citadel. Jubat looking for a few shots too. Slove up and active. Just saw a lot of breakdowns from both Mini and Takata as to a few of the augments that this team was using. Excalibur rifle also in hand. Shattered slabs. This is going to be a big point of control. You want to be early on timing so many mountains here. We've seen how much of an effect they have on EU when you have control versus you don't. You get to actually dictate how you play the game when you're a bit earlier towards the side, but if not, it's a big key.
Yeah, of course. Plenty going on all around the map. A lot of it hard to keep up with, especially when we have so many of these teams vying for win. Fortunately for us, we have a player who is very experienced in handling these type of games. The one and only EU legend, Save It himself. Save It, what you got for us?
Thank you so much. It's nice to be here. Here we have a clip of Norali and Vidil breaking it down. They got an early game kill. They managed to get some Surge off spawn. So they used that. Instead of greeting the second kill, they managed to go and rotate early using the Surge they have and get a good position for the mid game to get even more Surge and hopefully put them in a good spot for the end game. Thank you, guys.
Let's go, Save It. That's what I'm talking about. The Elam pressure from this duo is exactly what they've been pushing season after season after season. Look to be back in form as to where they want to look to go. The bodies have to match the optics, the vision, though. Kukavoko, same thing. Long type rotate towards the north side of the map. They'll come out towards that side. Should be a powerful spot.
Of course, we'll have Saber to give us a bunch more updates throughout the day. I'd love to get his insight, right? Being someone who has won these type of games in previous seasons, we know how intense it can be. My favorite part about these sessions is seeing the actual live player reaction, seeing how nervous people are. Their mouth is shaking as they're playing. It is so intense. The stakes are so high. Of course, this is different to what we've seen in previous seasons, right? We only have this one day, right? These 5 games compared to, the past where we had a bit more.
All the way in this spot too. All the way in the autumn wood. Looking for a few shots. It's usually very difficult to get eliminations here, especially on rotation. Excalibur to the body. Mag Braun down. That's how he does it.
Hey, look, we don't see the Excalibur get much use like that, right? But, you expect to see people drop it at some point. If he can keep hitting shots like that, I'm sure he'll keep it in the inventory.
This is where things slow down a bit for a bunch of the teams, especially on a zone that's towards the west side of the map. For early hitters, though, who are basing up lethal towards the lobby.
Really nice shots connecting there with the red eye. Of course, they do have quite a ways to go to get to zone and a bunch of teams that stand in between them in that journey. And so it's all about making that right play, finding that time and that avenue to be able to move forward.
No time for pit stops either. We're still pulling north. Although a good base from Noms, the more time they spend here, the less they have control of the future portion of the game. Vidil and O'Reilly already moving from old box to retired build. Pushing straight into zone as fast as possible. Which reminds me of just one of these old seasons where they finally had a coach in their ear. They finally had a little bit more guidance and direction. They stopped going for nuisance, nonsense type eliminations and fights. They stayed focused on where they needed to be. And they absolutely owned and controlled the entire lobby. Seemed to be almost back into that type of form. Disengaging from a fight. Vidil Noah still pushed through. They get here in just a second. We'll have so much room to keep playing.
Yeah, I like that, right? Looking good on materials, and so just pushing through that team that was sitting there above them, trying to hold them from getting in, investing a bit of brick, because the positioning ahead of them is far more valuable than the brick they spent, and they can just refarm here, right?
Exactly. That's the smartest thing. Not only just getting all the pressures off from shots, but moving towards resources you can easily farm up once again. It's huge. You gotta know. Gotta have the knowledge.
No, I like that from them. We'll see if they can continue in that vein. This is what I'm talking about on the flip side, though, when you're behind the rest of the lobby.
It's a running theme with Hen, right? Way back in the day with Queez, they're landing all the way up top towards Sleepy. It's we don't have cars. Now it's near Frenzy. We don't have what? What's left, Hen? That's what I'm wondering. We have augments now where you can keep sprinting, mantling, you get your energy back. Gotta do something.
He's got to whip out something. I think we've seen some of the analysts talk about, will his ability as an IGL be enough, as good as his ability as a fragger? I think that was always one of the problems he had when playing with other people, right? His will to just almost make his own plays, and sometimes that clashing heads. And so now that he has the free reins to make the plays he wants to, I know for Nas, the kind of player he is, he's never going to really dispute much. So he definitely has full control.
One thing Nas can do is just adapt. And one thing we've seen from Hen is when he makes these impulsive plays, sometimes it wins them absolute championships. I'm looking at more than 2/3 of the lobby not in zone right now. The FNCS having a filter on it like we're watching a movie in a different country. It's crazy. Noah Riley now fighting inside his box. Here comes Maul. Unfortunate. Fishy also going for a dive. And it's a full finish.
This is exactly what you can expect to see more of. When desperation hits, you see the big dogs being pushed to the side. Mahi and Fishy, they desperately needed Surge. 300 below is absurd, for one. But they needed damage, and they dealt the damage. They got in the box, and O'Reilly and Vidil, who we always associate with being top fighters in the region, just weren't able to handle it.
They had the timing, they had the power, they had the surge. What it didn't really have is just vertical position. You need some air, my friends. They were so low in those builds. A mountain towards their right. Unfortunate. Meanwhile, Pink breathing highly oxygenated atmosphere all the way towards the top. Based on Volsha, you see a POV of some of these, I'm gonna just call them purple teams who've been in the storm so long. Their entire outfits are changing. Still 59 above, it's not just that much, and more teams falling within the feed, something we've been tuning in with on rotation. They have to move past the Citadel, moving straight towards the top left, towards Blackwater Bay. That big vertical mountain, Mesa dropping down, going for a few shots all around. Wood builds too, so these shots will absolutely chop through like hot knife and butter. It's gonna be easy for this duo.
Yeah, that's gonna be something that they're gonna need to be on point together, synergized as a duo. Plenty of talent, plenty of firepower. And so if they can keep picking off fights like that, they'll be well on their way to rising in the standings.
Seeing a lot of surprises from a lot of boxes too. It pays to be a passive, more observant duo. I see Nafreezy and Lucia right now up in the low ground. I think that's exactly their style of play. It has been for weeks, which is why we haven't really seen them higher on the series leaderboard. No elims going into final zones at all. They make that top 10. They don't do anything while doing it. They're really good at that position. That's gonna pay off for now because they can end up popping off, take more risks.
And look, we've not talked about them much, but they are definitely a team I could expect to see come out and win a game today. That would be well up their alley. But first things first, they've got to start getting towards the zone. That Shockwave Hammer will allow them to do that as they move on through. A bit of damage being taken, but that's a given with how desperate everyone is in the lobby for Surge right now. Everybody with their ARs out and scoped in.
I'm curious as to what their heals actually look like. Says, looks like Lucia's gonna have to dive in into a few of those consumables. That end game type of situation, you want to have those heals saved up. Nas, though, absolutely shambolic. 24 HP out of those white heals, barely making it in the zone.
Yeah, the sorting sprints will move him just into the zone. But bigger questions needed to be asked about how in which they're going to be able to play this, getting stuck now and a bit more damage being taken. This is not where Nas wants to be whatsoever.
It's a housing crisis. There's no space to live. The bridge is taken over. People are building skyscrapers just in the air. Anas is gone. This could be better for Hendo. We've seen him when a solo situation comes around, his brain expands. He learns how to breathe, how to think. If there's focus, though, he might not live long enough to make it things pop.
Yeah, no stranger to intense solo clutches, but this might be a bit too much to ask of him. So many players around, and the congestion here is absolutely unreal. You've got to think nobody in the lobby got the forecast augment, right? Because nobody could have foreseen it. The whole lobby just here on this zone line, it seems so hard to traverse through in these lobbies. But that's what it's all about here in Surge Week, the most difficult games many of these players will play all season long.
I'm seeing similar patterns across many duos too that are starting up with a few new IGL roles. Egram, who didn't really used to be in that spot, relied on that synergy, just lost Buzz down below. They're gonna be so close by Yesin and Hem. Or him and Hem. Arc also with T'Challa. Once again, just rough on being able to get Surge in this type of lobby. If you have that position, they're all around that north side. They can just watch everyone else play the game.
Yeah, they are in a spot that many people would love to be in right now. They don't really have to worry. They can move the way they want, move the way they like. There is one team based up way up on that mountain that can get an angle on them, but they have plenty of natural cover to use for Pink and Nebs. They can start to make their move as well. And doing a brilliant job considering how far north this zone is. They aren't sitting too badly, but of course, a refresh would be wonderful, especially with the kind of materials and loot that they are working with. Certainly not ideal, but when you look at some of the other teams they're competing with, not bad at all.
They just need that little bit of high ground position. And watching weeks 2 and 3, so close to controlling the game, so many hammers come up and down, they just lose control. Queasy Vino stop them. They're not here now, so they have a chance if they can get off the floor.
And they might not start looking for a refresh right about now, right? A team landing right towards them on their boxes. This is where we need to see them instincts come out. We know Pink can be a playmaker. Nebs, when he's in his element, is a scary, scary player. They're going to need to connect to something fast. Hen looking to make a play for himself as well. He might have just found something. There is a knocked body here, and that loot's going to do wonders for Hen if he can stay alive and get out, but no, way too much for him to handle.
Points secured on the board, it looks like, though, if he did start that elimination off, but it might just be a pickup. Dradini moving in. Here we're going to be down for now. looking good on Surge, another solo spot, but it looks like every single duo has a radar of a sort. A sixth sense looking at who's actually in shambles, who doesn't have that support of a teammate. He's not gonna make it too far, but somehow still survive.
Yeah, most of the time when I'm seeing Jordy in powerful positions, it's when he's alive with Kiro thriving. Now as a solo, having to go down to just his bare instincts, just survive. That's what it's all about. A player falling right in front of his face, and maybe some loot for him to pick up there. You can see here, getting a bit of revenge onto Hen, but I'm sure he'd much rather have Kiro alive in the game. Oh dear, what do we have here?
Uruguay, Ziandi, I would assume in a zone like this, coming in from the right side, you have a little bit of experience advantage, but it's just too chaotic. Ziandi's maxed in this situation too. He's already used so many to survive. He finds a little bit of reprieve. The zone has bounced back a little bit to help a bunch of these duels on the right side, but from that south, you can kind of feel the congestion, the heat in the air.
Look, it might be too hot for him though, right? We've seen how difficult this lobby is. As a solo in this kind of a game, it's going to be so incredibly difficult, especially this early on. We're only here at the 5th zone. It's going to have to be an all-time performance from Ziandi.
The 6 to go anywhere as well. Straight down into water where you need mats, you need 2 teammates alive, or up towards mountains where you need eyes, ears, a multiplicity of them. Tracking every single duel possible is going to be so hard as a solo for now from top down. We can see Pink and Nebs have absolute control for Textures X-Force, also putting in their bid to be presidents of that high ground, of that vital air, to just rain down shots straight below, pick up so many points, 635 above of Surge, 10 points locked in. The win is what matters for a lot of these teams.
And yeah, they might be leaders in materials right now in this lobby. 130 builds is much more than what we've seen all across the board. And of course, the hammers will go such a long way in making this game a good one.
I'm really impressed. It feels like I'm watching Blitz. They just dropped in.
Yeah?
What have they done the whole game? It's amazing.
It's been an easy ride for them. Can't say the same for some of their competitors. You're seeing here, Milad and Siren, they're just trying to drop a small amount of builds that they do have.
And this is going to be rough. A bunch of these teams is going to have to move towards that top left. A little bit of a max rotate for a lot of them. A few pulling for the moment. There are no builds here, though. This is a brand new territory for, I would say, at least 20 of these teams of the 23 that are alive for the moment. Just a few came in from that top side. Pink and Navs do not have the builds to be able to sustain that the whole time. Question marks for a lot of these teams.
I think the problem we're seeing, right, is they have 7 limbs, Shayo, and they still look like they're shambles, right? They're getting, all the plays are being made, but nobody actually has anything that bears fruit for them. So again, just gonna have to keep moving. You're seeing how Axels and Vortexes, their position is so strong. They can just sit up here above and just take players out. Jew falls at the wayside.
Every single hammer going straight into their sight lines, no protection whatsoever. It's not just lightning, it's the thunderous power of their shots from high ground that's stopping everyone from rotating. Andy looking for a few more shots too, just 22 HP. He's not gonna make it past that point.
He falls, and you could have expected that sword from a mile away with just how tough things are. Siren, if he gets split off for too long, it'll be Milad playing as a solo as well, just having to recoup with his teammate. The bush here will allow them to get the HP back up as well.
Van Wise up in this moment with an absolute rainbow loadout, looking for a few more shots of his own. Hammer down straight towards the next part of zone. Next to Arc, it's a 2-time type of situation. He's able to chain both hits. X-Force for Textures, look at the control they have on high ground as the server drops down below, straight towards the water. Everyone is now in trouble, sinking, drowning. Astral finds Maximilian, they're still locked down good.
The zone pull back, that gives them a bit more time just to breathe, reload the weapons before they go on the pursuit again. For Pink and Nebs, they're still hunting, they're still fighting. Nebs trying to connect to something, but needs to create some space. You see the 4x4 that Pink's created.
Nebs down to 1 box too, so he'll have to find something creative. Astral Maximilian still going on.
And they're pushing in, they're getting their limbs as well. They pick up the 2. You can see it now. Plenty of that loot gonna go a long way. They're allowed to move through the zone. Unfortunately for them, stuck beneath all these builds. Gonna have to play it, crawling through it. They might just pick up Pink and Nebs as well.
They have a huge pocket and an escape tool too. Straight shockwave hammer up to a different layer. Astral leaves Maximilian behind, but like a rocket, you have to leave some of that fuel down below to reach the moon. He's still pushing for it. Nebs and Pink, a rock and a very dangerous place in front of them, but they don't care. They like danger. Nebs, shot in the back, still survives. Shaggy's down, but not out for the count.
And unfortunately, that will be the end. But for Shamoki and Swizzy, the Asian boys who rolled in on EU, trying to surprise everybody and show what they can do. But still, when you have Axels and Vortexes looking so strong up above on height, nobody really being a threat to them until now. Drop down!
The save!
Drop down, but the hammer allows him to stay up. Unfortunately, X-Force is gone now, and so a solo up above.
A sprint turned to a marathon of torture for everyone down below, but the pain tolerance for Art Skill and T-Chips is all too high. They drop straight down to the sand now. Get a little bit dirty with it, looking for a few teams to absolutely piece down. It's T'Challa on the right. Two big teams who have such great poise, head-to-head with shotguns. No hits, though, as their defense is too strong.
Skill dodging and weaving the edits. You know what he's gonna do. If anybody walks through their sights, anybody tries to claim low, they'll be right there to stop it. Swizzy has moved up to height now, and Vortex is being forced down towards the front. And so we might just run into the French Titans ready and waiting for him on the other side of that wood wall. He needs to get out, and he knows it.
The hammer saved him for now, but also has taken such a toll on his body. The mat's all the way down. Vortexers have nothing left. Swizzy all the way up top might just steal this as everyone fights down below. T'Challa getting a few shots in, but cannot find the Siphon. 1 HP from the right side. A few bodies will fall. He goes down. Astral has made wonders of magic as Art Skill still stays within the zone. Looking for a few shots. The hammer actually opens up an entire sight line. It's all up to Swizzy to have a little bit of impact here. He doesn't want Art Skill to get this free Siphon. On the right side of the beam, he's not looking for it just yet. Art Skill gets it and steals it out of the way.
The 1v1 now to close things out. Will it be Swizzy? Will it be Art Skill? He's done so well up to this point. The 7 of limbs. Can he make it an 8th? Drops down, tries to chop him, using the hammer now to go up, and needs to trade a big shot and looking for even more. Art Skill, he wants to win it. He wants a spot in the final. He won't settle for anything less. Can he connect to the final shot, the final moments? Does Swizzy have enough to match him? He has a hammer of his own. Up, down, and up again. Swizzy will fall. Art Skill takes him out.
What a huge lesson learned. What a reward for T-Chips and Art Skill. Landing all the way at the top alone, suffering week after week after week. They wake up today and they say, nah, we're done. Send us to the finals.
Shockwave hammer yo-yo at the end. This Ballista, we've seen it all season long, but he was ready and waiting, had that shotgun held out, and so composed in these moments. You see him just dancing around these boxes. He's in his element here. And a player that I definitely will be happy to see playing in the finals of that caliber. And a brilliant performance just to secure it here. In and out, easy as you like.
Absolutely great. The patience there, too. And this is a skill duel we've seen in finals time and time again. A great victory out from both T-Chips and that clutch from Art Skill.
Yeah, I'm very, very happy to see them start off the day well. A duo that I think many people will be familiar with in terms of seeing them in an FNCS final, and they're making sure that they're going to be there next weekend.
Hey, the question is, how do they slot into that 41? That'll be so interesting to see. 4 more games, though, to go. This is going to be nuts, love it.
Yeah, well, plenty more. Like you said, we have a couple more and the best people to break down all the action from that game. We're going to send it to Frank.
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm with those best people right now, Miniminer and Takata. What a way to kick things off. And the road that led to the victory royale that time wasn't necessarily about the high ground.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was low ground that actually ended up coming out on top in this instance, and that was what we talked about earlier, right? We see different ways that people have gone about high ground. Axe Force and Vortexers trying to solidify high ground. When I saw them on high, I thought, you know what, this is it. But they got chopped, and Art Skill and T-Chips, they took advantage.
Look, what happened there was dominance. We saw them like sharks down below. We talked about it previously, but what Art Skill was able to do at the end there, clutching it up with double-digit elims, picked up his last one and made it 11 elims to finish in style. T-Chips and Art Skill are going to be going like a meteor to the finals.
Yeah, they really will be. Especially with Art Skill, of course, clutching up as a solo. We've seen that so often this season, especially with the Shockwave hammers. Solo clutches more often than not. And it was a really, really great little way that he went about this because he just was so patient when this sort of when this play came around, because Astral decided to try and hop in the box, had no materials. Art Skill took advantage and then took height at the perfect time. Really, really patient stuff, and they picked up refreshes so well, especially on low ground.
And you can see there too, 0 materials at the end. Once he secured that elimination, if he did not get the elim with that final shot, he would have had no more materials, and his opponent might have been able to make a comeback, but Art Skill, he had the dominance.
And this is a team that are landing at the south side of Brutal Bastion as well, uncontested. So what this now means, they're out of the lobby. This drop spot is now uncontested. So who's going to maybe take that spot for themselves?
Well, looking at those eliminations, 11, I think that this duo would have qualified on consistency alone. They clearly were determined to make it to the grand finals, and they have to. Congratulations to them. But let's take a look at the standings there. We can see the people that were really fighting for their spot, and Pink and Nebs, you've got to feel for them because they positioned themselves so well when the surge came in.
Yeah, I mean, looking not only at Pink and Nebs that had amazing positioning and now have put themselves into the top 5, which is qualifying range currently, but we're only game 1 of 5, so we don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but also look at 5th and 6th place, both tied with 56 points. It's literally a tiebreaker on the cutoff.
Yeah, now Vortex is an Axe Force, of course. This is a duo that land all the way at the top of the map as well. Breakwater Bay, and they
Okay, so now I'm just going to stop. I'm going to stop filming this video, and I'll talk to you guys soon then. Bye.